Yes, children do suffer after a divorce. Most children, when you hear people talking about their unhappy childhood, most of them start with, my parents divorced when I was X years old. Even if it's 18 years old, they will still say it like a trauma that like something that happened to them and how much they suffered. So yes, kids do suffer. Why do they suffer? They don't suffer because of the divorce per se. They suffer because of how the divorce is handled. So if the divorce would be handled peacefully, calmly, lovingly towards everyone, like towards the kids, and if the parents, even if there's no love anymore between them, they will still be parents forever of the same children, right? They will, if they keep a great co-parenting situation, they communicate, they cooperate, they even go together with the kids. We hear this and like we're so amazed to hear like there are families like this. It's very rare when they even go on vacation together after a divorce. So nothing's happening between the parents, but they just want to offer this um, safe space for the children and like, look, we can still go on vacation together. Yes, that's great. But usually, if people would have this great communication, they wouldn't need to divorce anymore, right? So these cases are very great. It's not the divorce per se, it's how the divorce is handled, the communication, the hate between the parents, the misunderstandings, trying to use the children to manipulate each other. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. And yes, like divorce is statistically very bad for children. So most of women will kind of keep saying, I'm going to stay for the children or until the children turn 18. I said that too to myself, like when the biggest of fights happened, right? Like, oh, like I'm just gonna stick it up until like my daughter is 18 and like I'll be fine, right? Um, what the problem is with this, you cannot do it. So even if we love our children so much and we would die for them, we would do anything for them, um, the human being is driven by internal motivation, and that's mostly selfish. Even if we don't look selfish, like the internal motivation is still selfish. So this is from Dr. John DeMartini, a human behavior expert. Like we are driven by our internal values, by our so intrinsic motivation, right? So if we keep saying that we do this for the kids, at some point we get frustrated and we want to, like a child, rebel against it. And no, I won't stay in for the kids. And then, of course, we remember like my parents had a bad relationship. My parents had a bad relationship. Somebody told me recently, and mostly, like most women tell me, their parents didn't have a great relationship or they weren't a great marriage model. Right. So we rebel against it and we say, you know what? I won't stay in, like, I won't stay for the kids. They deserve a better example so they don't have to see me unhappy. What the problem is with this, yes, don't stay for the kids. Like, I urge you, don't stay for the kids. But that doesn't mean divorce. Stay for your own growth. Stay to see what is possible for you if you focus on your self growth, if you focus on growing your relationship skills, if you focus on having high standards for yourself and for the marriage, not like closing your eyes and just accepting behavior that you don't like. That doesn't mean fighting either, right? What if, like, don't stay for the kids, have a great marriage for the kids? So this is never an option. And it blows my mind in a way. In like in other ways, it pains me so much that women simply don't see that this is an option. So the only two options are stay for the kids or leave. Don't stay for the kids. Don't leave. There's a third option. Make your marriage happy for you and for the kids. Like if you want to, like if you don't want them to see a bad example of a marriage, do you think, like ask any woman who's divorced, do you think they are happier after the divorce? Like they have fights for years. Like I hear 8, 10 years of a bad co-parenting situation, like really toxic things happening, right? Because people didn't learn to communicate, people didn't learn to cooperate. So you're still parents of that child, and things don't won't like just get solved. then you will think, yes, well, at least I won't be in that situation. Yes, think about, just speak with women who are divorced. Think about, it's so bad, like not spending some of the holidays together, just like not being in their lives all the time, right? And it's not only this, like you shouldn't want to stay in a marriage because of fear, like fear that, oh my God, I'm not going to be happy when I'm divorced either. It's about like true empowerment, right? Like it sounds like when we say, I won't stay for the kids, it comes from like an empowerment thing, like I'm going to leave and break this bad situation. But what if breaking a bad situation and like real empowerment is changing the situation, like making it the best possible for you and for the kids? So don't stay for the kids. No, no, no. But make the marriage great for the kids and for you. And I would invite you actually for you to make it great. For you to make it great. And even after you make it great and you see that you have the power to make it great, you can still decide to divorce. Right? Like that's no problem, because if you make it great and you have great communication, great cooperation, like you learn how to be an adult and how to get what you want, like learn some relationship skills, then even if you divorce, the kids will be okay. You will be okay. Right? But until you don't learn this, life is trying to teach you some lessons. Learn how to communicate with a man, because it's totally different than communicating with a woman. This is one of the big mistakes in marriage. Like learn how to communicate, learn how to get what you want, learn how to have high standards, learn how to shift the situation in your advantage, learn how to influence people. Learn how to have a relationship with a man. If you don't learn with this man, you will get in another relationship with another man, and you won't know either. You won't know the right communication, like how to communicate with a man and understanding man, which like they're simply different. We don't have the same brains. We don't have the same needs. Like we didn't evolve in the same way, right? Biologically, we are different. So we have different needs. We communicate differently. Until you don't learn those lessons, it's like you don't learn, like you don't win this level of life. And even if you divorce, like you stay at the same level, right? Like the point is to ascend to the next level, like learn how to communicate, learn how to get what you want, influence people, how to express what you want, having high standards. Like this is the biggest one. And then you can divorce. Then the children will be okay. So the thing is here is not to divorce or not to divorce. It's not even like for the kids or not for the kids. Have you learned the lesson that this relationship is trying to teach you? Like life is trying to teach you something. Really, really, really think about this. I don't want you to stay for the children, but that doesn't mean to leave, divorce. I have to like say this 100 times. It seems like, because it seems impossible to change, like this seems the only option. Nobody is teaching us how to communicate effectively, how to listen, how not to be triggered, how to get what we want, how to understand the differences and manage and navigate the differences. Nobody is teaching us, right? And unfortunately, it breaks my heart. So many couples, they go to couples therapy, and because therapy is trying to teach like for a very basic level of childhood trauma and attachments and communication, and like it's not the right type of communication. It's just like it's more of like asking or putting like some pressure and expectation on the shoulders of the other person, making it their job to make you happy. So kind of like it's a job to be a wife and a husband. So it's a very basic level that maybe in some cases it works, but for most, unfortunately, they don't ascend that level either, right? So it's not about the childhood trauma. It's about um thinking more in the future, thinking about what you want, and acting in with intention and deliberately to get what you want. So for me, this is empowerment. Empowerment is not leaving a situation with the tail between your legs because you feel defeated. That's not empowerment. It sounds like, and it really breaks my heart when I see like women advising other women, like almost like empowering them, leave, run, divorce, right? And like that's not empowerment. Like run from a situation. You're not learning, you're not growing. Like, would you tell your kid, like, when they have a challenge, to run from a challenge? No, you want to teach them to how to go through that challenge, what to learn from that challenge. And when that challenge occurs another time, like, it's solved. I know how to deal with this. I know how to ask for what I want. I have high standards. I know how, like, not to be triggered. Right? So you don't want to run. Like, that's not empowerment, running from a situation. Empowerment is making the situation whatever you want it to be. I'm very passionate about this, and I don't want to sound harsh, right? I really encourage you. I think, like, just people don't see that this is an option. It again breaks my heart and blows my mind in a way that we don't see it. I didn't see it either. So it's not about being smart or not. Very smart people, like very high IQ people, they just don't see that's an option, right? Because it's about emotional intelligence, not academic intelligence, like communication skill, relational skills, right? So everyone just see these two options: stay unhappy or leave, and like that's how you will be happy. Or unhappy, but at least just leave. It will be better. Better to be alone than unhappy in a relationship. Another thing that like blows my mind. No, it's like the third option is better to be in a relationship and happy. Like, why don't we see this? Like, there's a third option. Change the situation, like make it better, improve it. So anything has a solution. It's about having a growth mindset or fixed mindset, right? If you ever read the book Mindset by researcher Carol Dweck, it's very famous. And she talks about this. People having fixed mindset, they just don't think a situation can change. And I still have that mindset. I'm fighting with it. I grew up with it, right? And growth mindset means challenges. Oh yeah, like let's have fun. Let's solve them. Let's solve them. Athletes are taught to have this kind of mindset. And people in high position, high academics, like if they get a bad grade, like, okay, I'll change it. I'll learn. I'll do better. Me, like in university, if I got a bad grade, for me, it was over. Like, I don't want to like deal with this anymore. But a person with growth mindset, they have a challenge. They have a bad result. They think, how can I do it differently? How can I get what I want? A good grade, a good relationship, a better job, a good salary. It's like, please see, like, if I can give you this gift through this video, the gift is there's a third option, there's a third door. Like, really just look a bit like to the right. There's a third door. There's like staying and being unhappy, leaving and being unhappy or happy. It doesn't matter. Like, actually being happy or unhappy doesn't matter if you're married or not. You first have to solve to be happy, and then you choose if you stay married or not. Does it make sense? Because if you leave, it means that your happiness is based on the marriage or on your husband, or if you're married or not. Does it make sense? Because you're running because you're not happy, because your happiness is on the shoulders of another person or is the responsibility of a marriage. With this means still like being like an emotional child, not learning that you are in charge of your happiness. And I'm saying this with the most love possible because I've done this most of my life. Most of my life. I feel like I was the worst. Like, nobody can be in that like bad place where I was. So not in charge of my happiness. Like, I'm putting my happiness on everything outside of me. When you learn that like happiness is on you, then it doesn't matter if you're married or not. Then you can choose if you're married or not, but first make yourself happy, right? Like, first learn the lesson that you are in charge of your happiness, not your husband, not your marriage, not your job, not like whatever vacation you can afford, not your kids. If you learn, like, maybe this is the most important lesson in life, that you are in charge of how you feel, not outside circumstances. So please see, there's another door. Like, there's like the door of being happy. Married or unmarried doesn't even matter. If you get that to that level of being happy and knowing how to communicate, it's just growing up, right? Like knowing how to communicate, interrelational skills, right? Then the kids won't suffer. Married or not married, the kids won't suffer because you will have a good relationship with their parent, like with their father. Okay, have a good day, everyone. Please know there's a third door. Always, always, there's a third door. And if there's not, like, you create it, right? Because you like it's the growth mindset thing again. Bye bye.